very fun style. He mixes in a good amount of aggression with, no fear of going into longer games where he will build Tempest, he will build carriers, he will go into those later game units. So, absolutely excited to see what comes out over here as we have to the bottom right, starting us off, the red Protoss player from Asterion Gaming. This is Harstem up against the blue Zerg on the top left-hand side. Denver, unfortunately losing out in the first series. Probe from Harstem coming around and having a little bit of a patrol over in the natural expansion. There's a nice early probe came out as the pylon probe came down to the low ground as well, so really was just making sure he got across this map ASAP to be able to block this natural. Now that from the very start of this game tells you that this could be a couple of adepts coming out from Harstem. Something that can really look to abuse the fact that this hatchery is further away from this main base than it might like to be. It's absolutely a possibility as Denver will just set up with the extractor with the spawning pool for now. Sets up a little bit of a potential wall as well, put a queen here just in case the adepts come in a certain way. The adept shit into the mineral line in here, for example, you can pull the drones through a queen here, then those adepts are stuck on the queen. When I say pull the drones through, you have to mineral walk them down, but it's a good way for the drones to get away while the adepts are stuck in, perhaps, so a little bit of SimCity already potentially being set up in the early stages. What's up, Muku? The 44-month resub. The 44 Club, boys. Let's drop an anvil onto Terran Salt. Thank you so much for the 44 months. It's a big resub. I'm just talking about big resubs yesterday. Muku, you must be one of the top 10 longest subscribed people on the channel. It's bonkers. Thank you so much for the 44 months. 44, eh? 4 months off 4 years. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Lucas19 coming in with the Twitch Prime for 8 months as well. Says 8 months and let's keep it going. Thank you so much for the 8 months, buddy. Much appreciated. Again, guys, WardiTV Summer Championship Europe today. And as we have a Stargate opening from Harstem, and actually no early game unit, only just now an adept coming over. As we have this little bit of a slower setup, I just want to remind you all we do have a match arena page available today. There are WardiTV Summer Championship t-shirts for sale. There is WardiTV Summer Championship coupon codes to use. There are 3 links to click on the side of the match arena page. All of it helps to raise up money for this tournament, which has been a very ambitious tournament. $4,000+. It's a lot of money we're putting into this one. So if you guys can help support us and help us raise some of that money back, it just uses the funds and also helps us justify doing some of those or some of these again in the future. That was a nice spore crawler placement. That's another way to use it. Build a spore crawler here, also walls off the adept based on, again, certain terms that might be useful if the adept tries to commit in a certain way. So, yeah, just nicely done. Well played by Denver again. A good concept of what he wants his SimCity to be here early on. Swing speed, going to finish up from Denver, so getting that completed, and we do have the few Zerglings just running around over on the ramp at the moment. While on the way up in the main base, we're going to see the Lings again coming over to the right-hand side, and the Phoenix is going to jump onto the Overlord. Harstem's also on 44 months. Actually, yeah, sorry. Mr. DeConing, who resubbed for 44 months earlier today. He actually said, "Hi, Weirdy, I love the casting, but perhaps we could play more marbles." He's a funny guy, Mr. DeConing, isn't he? He's a funny guy. Not about the marbles, the fact he loves the casting. God, he just doesn't understand Twitch. Everyone's meant to hate everything. No one's allowed to like things. It's not allowed. Group thread pushing forward through the center of the map. Rubber facility on the way up in the natural expansion. So it's obviously been a triple Oracle open end. Obviously with these extra gates coming down, it feels as though Harstem might be trying to show us a little bit of what Stats was up to over at Aces Rock. So yeah, straight into an Immortal from that Robo facility. Man, the double Oracle's going to find 5 kills in the main base. A lot of damage there right away. We'll turn around for one more as the drones come to try and put themselves into the extractor. That's quite nice because actually I don't know if Denver realized this either. Now, he's still down a drone on that gas. He hasn't fixed it yet, so it's a little bit of gas income Denver is going to be missing out on. That will complete here on the natural expansions. As you see the Adepts going down, multiple drones getting picked off though. The Adepts having a good time over on the third base. The empty Oracles and the Phoenix in toward the main. It's going to be triple Oracle here to work with very shortly. Roach is on the way up from Denver. I mean, he absolutely has to get ready to defend this attack from Harstem. There's Warp Prism coming across, the few Stalkers on the way in as well. And here we go, Denver pressing, going to be pressed into in the next few moments, so let's be careful. We're going to see the double Oracle, we're going to fight the Queens, and the Phoenix lift that first Queen. That's quite going to go down. Actually, the Oracles have to pull quite far back. He doesn't keep pulling back. He actually is going to be left alone by the Queen. This is bad for Denver, actually. He loses this Overlord. He's going to be supply blocked, and supply blocks at this stage of the game isn't pretty. When the Protoss player is attacking into you, you want to be pumping units, you don't want to be sitting waiting for Overlords, so... Only a single immortal, by the way, from Harstem. He is still building probes at home, so he will be looking to utilize the third base that he's building. He's not looking to just be completely all in with this, although he definitely wants to try and deal some damage. He already kind of is keeping Denver at 54 drones, while really just kind of sitting here with his army. Drops a few force fields. Unfortunately, they missed the Zerglings, and Zerglings were able to slip away. Drones down, corrosive bows. Dropping on the force fields once again, so breaking that down. Just kind of getting cut in half with just so many force fields. Again, Harstem has to be careful at some stage of this. He does just not have, again, the reinforcements necessarily needed to win the game when he's been probing up and teching. You can see the Twilight Council and the Forge starting, but he's still done a very good job of this. He's been able to trade so well up until now as Linger Ravager coming down the left. Corrosive Bow's already used. The Warp Prism can just safely sit here for a moment or two longer. He's going to warp in a few more Zealots, just get a bit more of a front line back in play. Again, imagine he had like 2 Immortals. Immortal gets sniped down pretty much instantly there. Now the Warp Prism is gone. The Corrosive Bow is able to hit that. It's a big pickoff. And without the Corrosive Bow, without the Warp Prism in play, there's no micro available, and the Corrosive Bows absolutely changed this game. I'm surprised when the Warp Prism went down, there wasn't like an instantaneous recall out of Harstem. He's going to lose absolutely everything. He's going to lose everything while still having a good probe count behind this and being in a very good position in that regard. As long as he can defend the Mutalisk without taking too much damage. And I mean, in that fight, he lost all of his sentries, all of his stalkers, he lost all of his anti-air. He does have a Stargate up, he has 1 Phoenix available too, so there are absolutely possibilities to be able to shut those Mutalisks down. Spire built on the third base, by the way, something that Harstem was able to see that. So when he's been able to see it, and he starts up Phoenix production. So actually, Harstem is ready for the Mutalisk switch. I say he's ready for it. I mean, the Mutas is flying to the main. This is kind of one of the reasons that the Phoenix came back home already as well, right? He knew that these Mutas were coming, so good scouting from Harstem, good figuring out of what's going on early. Doing a very good job of this. Really well done there. There's 5 more Mutalisks on the way up. 14 more Zerglings. Templar Archives going into the back of the main base, and again, the Mutas poking around on the natural. He's going to be able to chase down the Mutalisks, and the Mutalisks take quite a bit of damage here again. It's going to be seeing the they just do a great job of cleaning this up, and Denver is just pushed away so easily, so quickly. What a shutdown here by Harstem. Extremely well done. Well, that's pretty brutal as we see Lings and the Roaches and Ravagers on the right-hand side. Still gathering up. Observe from Harstem, hanging out overhead. Phoenix, I love this. I'm using the Phoenix to lift up a Ravager. Ravager's obviously super expensive, but also super kind of flimsy. That's going to be a corrosive bomb. That's going to force the Phoenix to lift up a second time. I mean, honestly, it's still worth it. I mean, it's still energy. And if it is a bit more energy, it's energy you're not really going to use elsewhere. Or, you know, a unit that costs you 100 gas. And obviously you have to have those Phoenix, otherwise the Mutalisks would have done so much more damage. So, Harstem playing this very systematically at the moment. Doing a very good job of cleaning up. Those Mutalisks will go down, unfortunately for Denver. Phoenix got right on top of them, so their last kill really was just the Oracle. There was just not enough damage done by these Mutalisks. You want so much more than that when you play Mutalisks like this. You're looking for, you know, 10 plus probes as well as maybe a few key units, pulling the Protoss back and so on. You know, there was maybe, you know, he pulled the Protoss player back and that was about it. You know, killed an Oracle. It's like, wow. It's just, you know, Oracle is so easily replaced. Doesn't really open up any sort of attack from the Zerg player. Denver attempts towards the Lurker Den, so his next step of this is going to be power up those Lurkers and try and lurk away. Phoenix lifting the roaches and two of them just pulling back. It's like, hey guys, you guys are meant to be spotting for me over here, and you just kind of left me. Screw up, Phoenix. He's part of the crew until these two just decide to go off and do their own thing. Oh my god, those force fields. There's no Ravagers here to be able to break those down, and so the roaches are just stuck. I mean, they run behind the mineral line to make the most of this, and in fairness, they will do pretty well because the Immortals went all the way to the top side. One Immortal going to be joined by an Archon to try and fight there. We see High Templars on the fourth base, sorry. So they were already in position over here, and a couple of Storms dealt with the first few Zerglings that came into play. Obviously, Storm just makes this a whole different scenario. Again, you've got Storms against the Banes, Storms against the Hydras. It really is the Lurker Den. That is perhaps going to save Denver here, if anything. The problem is Lurker Den's still not done. You still have a 20-second morph time on the Hydralisks as well. Waiting for those Hydras to morph into Lurkers while, you know, the Protoss is hitting your front door. Well, it takes a long time. Doesn't pass quickly. Drones going down on the left-hand side. Denver also going to have drones on the top side base as well. He's in trouble all over the place. Hydra Den has finished setting up in towards the Lurker Den now, so Lurkers are able to be made, but Denver seems to be preoccupied dealing with those Zealot run-bys. So Denver, while he has to deal with those, means he's not really doing what he should be. I mean, now 6 Lurkers on the way up, but they're morphing in the front, and, well, Zealots, Immortals on top of them. Even the High Templars here can get some damage onto the Lurkers. Denver's going to type out GG to give Harstem the game number 1 in this best of 3. Oh, it's too difficult. You know, there's just easier ways to take third bases for Protoss players on other maps, and so why not Vito Kairos Junction, essentially, in that regard. And it's a bit of a smaller map too. You open yourself to a lot of the Zerg aggression that can come across the map very quickly. Roach all-ins, roach attacks. You know, play a map like King's Cove. You know, you have so much more time to scout a roach all-in. You have so much more time to respond to a roach all-in. That you just really limit the Zerg to basically saying, hey, you know, if you want to do something cheesy, if you want to do something extremely aggressive, you're going to have to put yourself in the worst possible position to do it from if you want to do that against me. So, pretty typical map order here. From Acropolis to King's Cove. In the bottom right, our right Protoss player is Harstem in his first series on the screen today. As to the top left, our Blue Zerg from Infinity Gaming Denver. Again, has been practicing in Korea. So obviously he is yeah, obviously he has been playing that Korean ladder. Sometimes when players come back from Korea, you don't see their real strength right away. It takes them like a little while to adjust and to put what they learned in Korea into practice in Europe, because playstyles are different. You know, you got to kind of get your groove going again. You got like to do, how they like to play. It's kind of funny because it's one of the big parts of kind of why the Koreans can be so good. It's they do the little things, and it's almost like that region has a meta that just develops on its own, because you have you have little moves where they will put certain units in certain positions because they expect something at a certain time, and you know, when the meta develops like that, you know, it can be very tough when you play against someone who doesn't do those little things. And then everything gets a little bit funky, a little bit weird, and they, you know, they do... Their little moves come in different ways or at different times, and you're just not quite ready for that. So yeah, there is obviously some adjustment period towards playing back on a different server again in a different region. Obviously, the more we get to see Korean players, the more players study the replays, the more those little things get figured out in other regions. But again, I would often say that, and I think it's been said before by a lot of bigger personalities and so on, it's, you know, it feels like sometimes, you know, when players learn from the Korean meta, they lag kind of 2 weeks behind the Korean meta. But it is, I mean, it's, for example, like, you know, we go back all the way to Casper Cup, it works the other way too. You know, 2016, Neeb wins the Casper Cup with a disruptor style in PvP that nobody had seen in, you know, in Korea for a very long time, and everyone's like, wow, what? You know, Trap just couldn't find an answer in a best of 7 series. And Neeb just kept taking games, and, you know, Trap even tried to play the style himself, and Neeb's just like, yeah, but, you know, I've played this so much more than you have. So, yeah, there really is something that works both ways. Anyways, as we go into this, a few Zerglings down the left side. They're going to find the 2 Adepts. The Adepts actually a little unsure as to which way they want to go. As Link Speed completes, they have a Shade, but they're not going to use it because the Warp Prism was on the way over. 3 more gateways on the way from Harstem, so going up to 5 gates at the moment with the Immortal production. Continuing along, has got 1 Immortal out, and the second one starts, so it feels like another kind of aggressive attack from Hostin here. Well, last game, I mean, Harstem kind of did just win the game with the initial attack. He did a lot with it, but he did stick around a bit too long and let Denver back into the game. And at that point, when Denver got back in, it got a bit scary, but Harstem still had it under control. He was able to get Storm up, he hit before the Lurkers were in play. You know, it was a good follow-up timing to make sure that Denver was not allowed to get away with too much, especially after he'd taken early damage. Imagine if Denver hadn't taken that early damage, the Lurkers would have been up before Harstem could really push in with a lot of Storms, etc. You know, and be maybe a couple more of them as well, and, you know, maybe then Harstem can't win the game in that moment. Drone's getting picked off, and Immortal is about halfway done here from Harstem as a Chrono Boost starting on up. Well, Sentry Zealots and Immortals picking away at a pylon. And the Zerglings of Denver running down to the bottom side. More Zealots, a Sentry on the way as well, and here we go with Harstem moving out. Just for a moment there, but then he does decide to pull back. Bit of back and forth. Lingroach Ravager on the way from Denver, so he's preparing for this attack. I mean, Harstem's been setting up for a 6th gateway now on the way. He starts another Immortal and another Assimilator though, so maybe actually, I mean, he isn't getting more probes. He moves over to the left a little bit. He has just sent the Warp Prism out on its own. Very interesting. Is he really just looking towards a Nexus? Or is he just looking to hit a little bit later than Denver was expecting, and maybe trying to find Denver droning just a little bit too hard? Two Adepts coming up into the natural expansion here, and Queen's immediately going to be able to take away that Warp Prism, dealing quite a lot of damage. Is just not... Oh my god, the 1 hit point Warp Prism. Well, the 2 Adepts find 2 drones. The fact the Prism gets out 1 HP is pretty disgusting. As Hostin goes up into a 5th Immortal. What is going on here, by the way? Like, this is kind of crazy. 5 Immortals, and Harstem is still just sat on... I mean, he has probed up from 42 to 48 now. He's taking that extra Assimilator. He is now going to drop the Nexus. There has to still be aggression with this, though, right? I mean, he has to want to move across the map, but also set up, you know, Twilight Forge, etc. There's the Forge dropping down to start. Yeah, very weird approach from Hostin. Whatever it was that he saw that he didn't like, decided to stay back and stay away from. It's put him in a bit of a weird position. He do see is a couple of Zerglings just running in, going to check what that army looks like at this point in time. You can see Denver just trying to add a few drones in here, a few drones in there. I'll continue to build up the rest of the army. Hallucinate Phoenix in the top left-hand side. Again, Zealots and Mortals and Sentries gathered up in the middle. A few more Zealots will warp in and a couple of Zerglings go down. Harstem starts +1 and he starts charge again. It's at the stage where you can't really imagine Harstem truly wants to fight any of this. And he's just trying to pressure, he's just trying to keep Denver making units rather than droning. Third Nexus is now done, and so with that completed Nexus, we're seeing 7 more drones building up in the mainlings, Roaches and Ravagers heading down to the bottom. A lot of units here from Denver. I mean, Austin kind of, forced him to make all these units, so may as well make the most of it. Tell you what, this is going to get weird for Harstem. His army has been split by that recall, and he's just wandering half of it down through the center of the map. He will drop some force fields here. He's coming in from the bottom side with units as well, but again, he's missing so much on this right side. This has become a bit of a mess for Harstem, and it looks as though he's just going to have to give up those few units. This really was a mess, actually. The recall was kind of a weird mix of, what he brought back. And then the Immortals just, this was obviously bad pathing, just running some Immortals down the center, others around the side. Even right now, there's one Immortal here at the front. At least the Warp Prism is nearby to lift that up if required. Baneling Bomb's going to drop down, looking to connect on a lot of these units that they can splash onto. Pop a lot of the Immortal barriers already, and wow, the Roach Count is just going to push through this, right? Surely the Immortal barriers already popped, the Archons are low HP, shields are gone. A few more Banelings showing up as well, and the Warp Prism just can't lift all of these units at the same time. Zealots will run in just after the Banelings have gone off, so maybe Harstem can hold this attack of Denver at bay, but I don't imagine this will be much more than holding this at bay. You see small Banes, small Ravagers being set up. Mortals dancing around at the front here. We do see the Centrifugal Hooks is 75% of the way done. Roaches and Ravagers pressing up. Zealots already in some trouble. Banner's already dropping down on top of Immortals and Archons, and well, again, Denver got a lot of momentum with the mistakes that Harstem's army movement cost him, and now Harstem is struggling to hold this off. Denver, another 16 Zerglings on the way. Some of these Lings run over to the right-hand side. Oh no, the Immortal pushed the Zealot out the way, and the Lings are in the main, the Lings are in the natural. Harstem was already having a tough time. He's just spent warp-ins on the low-ground third base as well, so they're not going to be able to warp in to save the mineral line either. Everything is going wrong for Harstem here. There's not a single thing that's been going correct for him in the last couple minutes especially. And I feel like the start was interesting. He kind of sat back on a very aggressive setup, and yeah, I didn't mind the idea of it. I was interested to see where it went, but obviously the way that the fight turned out, etc., it was more than just a disaster. This was horrific from Harstem. You'll not be happy. This is one of those games where you do leave a little bit upset at yourself, or you're like, man, what was I doing almost? As we're going to be seeing again with the Banelings, we're going to be seeing the Zealots crush away at it so quickly, and these Immortals are kind of backed into a corner now. Not even a Warp Prism nearby to come and save them, so Roaches will get the kills. Denver will find himself. I'm muted. Classic. Yikes. So, got myself a new microphone so I wouldn't mute myself. And you know what I've done now? Now I've started to mute myself in a different way in breaks because I've got a new headset and I can't mute myself the same way as I did before. And now that I've started to mute myself in a different way, I forgot to mute myself. So you know what? I'm kind of an idiot. Well, feels bad, man. So the good news is you guys completely didn't hear me talking about anything about the game because I was just talking about other things. I was talking about Finn591's resub. He said thanks for covering the Chinese Team League. WardiTV gig and looking forward to it. So thank you so much, Finn, for the 4-month resub. I was just saying, very exciting about the new China Team Championship season. Excited to see how that goes. And also, hello Zerg, thank you for those 100 bits. So apologies for that, guys. Just getting used to a new setup over here. Do apologize. Just again, doing things a little bit differently now than I was before. So, all right. Twilight Council Forge on the way up. And Harstem, I mean, already got a lot of damage here, and the Oracle's coming back in, getting one more drone, but we'll be back out of there pretty quickly. A few extra drones on the way out. 8 roaches coming in. Roach speed will start. Awesome. Again, with them drone kills early, we'll be able to get aggressive here, and I think with a lot of success as well. Now, he's got forges behind this, so you can start +1 attack already. And that means he's got a transition available if the Nexus is coming in too. For the cancel on that Ravager, doesn't quite find it. The Oracle's still just picking away at roaches up on that top side. And then these units just looking to try and see Lings, Roaches, and Ravagers pressing down. Corrosive Battles coming in. That force field's on the ramp, and again, still just going to be seeing these Zerglings just trying to press down the ramp, not having much success with this at all. And Roaches trying to break their way down here. A couple more Zealots warping in underneath the Warp Prism. Corrosive Battles are going on the Prism, and the Prism will go down, so Harstem is trading out armies. I mean, he's going to fight till the very end here, of course. These, a couple of Oracles should be getting out of there now. There's nothing else for them to do. They're out of energy. I'm not sure why they didn't pull back, because that feels like a few units that could have definitely been saved, as Harstem just trades out everything. Obviously, when you lose that Prism, you lose a lot of potential to pull units back. These Stalkers will be the one, you know, those couple of units that will get out of here. You see the Templar Archives now from Harstem on the way up. Phoenix into the main base, a bit of a scout, looking to see if Denver is switching up the tech choice at all. He's actually going to skirt around the edge, though, and that means he misses the Hydralisk Den in the main. A little bit unfortunate. Oh, no, does he see it? Oh, my God, he went back in, but he didn't quite get far enough. So, unfortunately, he misses out on the Hydra Den. Lurker Den instantly built. As Harstem rebuilding his army. Has got a good economy behind this, so he has got the good, setup to be able to rebuild here. See again, a few extra gateways being added in. What's up, Akanar, coming in with the $10 donation, says thanks for keeping me entertained after a long day at work. No problem. I mean, I'm surprised you were even entertained while the microphone was muted. So crazy. Some people are easily entertained, I suppose. Thank you so much for the $10 donation. Do appreciate it. Glad to have you relaxing on the stream with us after a long day of work. Good to have you as we have the Nexus dropping down on the 4th base. So Harstem expanding. Denver was only just now setting up this base, so it was double expanding there for a moment or two. Obviously, Storm really is just the next stage of this for Harstem as Hallucinated Phoenix continue to try and scout. Through Spines on the way up here, and again, just going to be seeing that Overseer is going to be coming forwards. Continue to nibble away at it. Finally will get that kill. Hive on the way up here from Denver. So really is just getting into the next stage of his tech. And I wouldn't be surprised here at all actually if this goes into a very long game. I mean, we're talking Thunderbird. It's already one of the larger maps. It's already one of those maps where you can get larger games. But we're in a position where Lurkers are now up and running. Harstem is not going to hit a time before the Lurker count gets pretty serious. And there you go, you can see Harstem dropping down the fleet beacon in the main base. So, fleet beacon on the way up. So on the left-hand side of Phoenix is nibbling its way through this Overlord. A couple of Hydras dropping down. Phoenix will be picked off. Just going to be seeing the extra units of Denver coming down here. A couple of Lurkers morphing in as well. He's got a lot of Hydras on the bottom watching for Prison, but Harstem really is just sitting back. He's making another Phoenix. He really wants to be able to watch this Phoenix just kind of, have it down here and kind of watch out for this Dropper Lord area. Yeah, Denver. Lurker count rises. Hive is now done. What does he build with the Hive here? What would be a priority with the Lurkers? Maybe a couple of Vipers would always go a long way. Adaptive Talons is a huge upgrade from the Hive as well for those Lurkers. Really aids the Lurkers heavily when it comes to burrowing them. Awesome. Again, he's building the Mothership. He's building another Oracle so you can get down those Revelations on top of the Lurkers. They're extremely important because it means it's guaranteed detection. So guaranteed detection throughout the fights means that even if your observers get targeted down, if you already have the tag on those Lurkers, you know you can still see them for however long, you know you can still engage into them. Second Stargate too, and that's where the Tempest production will really start to come into play. As Hostin also could potentially go into carriers if he really wants to just sit back. It's a little riskier, especially with Lurkers already up, because you don't really get to enough carriers right away to make much use, but it looks like carriers will be the choice. Thank you, Mage GG, with the 8-month resub. Much appreciated, as we do see again the Zealots coming forwards, and they're able to pick up a few of those Queens, so a couple of Queens already going down. Zealots will charge in, and Hydralisks will be picked off. One Hydra just survives. Well, again, attempt to be aggressive is not really so successful for Harstem in the end, just a little bit of a trade out. Again, for the most part, feels like he just wants to sit back and build up that carrier count. There's nowhere else for him to really go. These Zealots running down the bottom side. The Hydra on the Watchtower gives him plenty of notice, though, and so Denver can already rotate an army down here to deal with that. He's now actually setting the Lurkers up on this right-hand side. The initial Oracle Revelation doesn't actually hit far enough forwards, and so only one Lurker revealed in this. Mothership shows up as well. There's no detection here. Oh, no. There's no detection here, but he loses the Observer. No detection from Denver to deal with the Mothership cloaking is what I'm talking about. Harstem did lose the Observer, though, so actually wouldn't have been able to kill those Lurkers anyways. Detection reigning, becoming a problem for both players. This group of Zealots realizes they were found, and so decides to move back up the left-hand side rather than just throwing themselves away. As Lurkers burrow defensively, Zealots on the right will not get very far forwards. Some more carriers coming up. And Harstem. Again, I feel like that carrier count isn't super scary right now. We're only at 2. Only one of them in the army, actually, so at the moment he's just looking to trade out some Temple energy, throw some Storms down, get some damage done. Zealots have actually turned, won a fight, and now continue down the left-hand side. You can see eyes on those on the minimap to see if they end up anywhere exciting. More Storms just picking away, chipping away at these initial Lurkers. Honestly, the Storms are pretty good. There's a lot of those Lurkers in the red and orange hit points. That's a little bit as we're more Storms dropping down. Lurkers will be killed. Zealots from Harstem around the right-hand side. 2 extra carriers on the way up. Over in the main base, we're going to be seeing those Overseers getting picked off as well. Multiple Lurkers getting taken down. A lot of Lurkers falling at the moment as more and more Storms are dropping. And it looks as though this is pretty much it. Just Harstem just walks straight